Call it June 10th, 2021 Fire Protection Board meeting via Zoom to order. First item on the agenda is the minutes of our previous meeting back in March.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Somebody say aye, they opposed, or?
No, I was late, Dave. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, all right. Morning, Wayne. All right. Next item on the agenda is comments and concerns. Any persons present today?
The only concern I have is the information that we were sent about this CPVC pipe that we're using that. You want to discuss that now, Dave, or you want to?
No, that I think could come up under either old business or new business because I have it on in my report, and I'm sure it's going to get discussed. But,
Okay,
I'm going to log it in that you raised the issue about the CPVs, about the Blaze Master, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just jotting that down. Okay. Hearing no other comments, we'll move on to DCP Investigation Division, Complaint Status Report. Director Brown and Janita.
Good morning, Pamela Brown from the Department of Consumer Protection. I'm here with Supervising Special Investigator Janita Hamill, who will discuss the report.
Mr. Chairman, the report was run for the 2-month span of time from March 1st of 2021 to April 30th, 2021. In that time, we had 3 anonymous complaints against the same contractor for the same issue. And the inspector investigating it cited the contractor for failure to display with the $500 AVC. In that time, we received a new complaint that's being investigated but cannot be discussed. So do you have any questions, sir?
No, I mean, they were all the same contractor, all anonymous, the way I saw the report, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please don't be, Dave. All right.
Could I, question was I know you can't discuss it, Janita, but you said there was another complaint. Was it the same contract that complaint?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
No.
I was gonna say, it sounds like somebody has it against that contractor. But okay.
We never know with an anonymous complaint. There's nobody to go back to question, to say, you know, what else do you have? What else is going on? Because when it comes in, the complaint center doesn't know who it is. I don't know who it is. My inspector doesn't know who it is. The contractor or the person complained about gets a letter and a copy of the complaint, and we have to go from there. In the event there are, you know, violations alleged, but there's no location, and somebody says, oh, you know, I'll use this gentleman as an example, but this wasn't the case. We get an anonymous complaint, and let's say it's against this Jeffrey Williams, and says, oh, he's using unregistered apprentices and unlicensed people. The anonymous complaint form also asks the anonymous complainant to provide a job site location or someplace where I would be able to send one of the inspectors to do an inspection. What happens typically is we get the person's shop address as the location of the violations. One time we got one that said, talk to the shop manager. She knows what's going on. So we send them a letter, we talk to them, and then it becomes, you know, talking to them and trying, if there are violations, to have somebody to self-incriminate themselves. If they do, it works out for us. If they don't, and they say, I don't have this didn't happen, when it's an anonymous complaint, how much energy and time am I supposed to have the staff expend when there's nobody to help us move forward with a file? So,
Thank you.
All right,
Janita, this individual, so it was three different complaints, all failure to display.
yep,
I didn't print out the report. It was, but the time frame. I mean, from the first one to the last one. I mean, has this person corrected it, or I mean, could you still see further similar complaints?
no, because when we do an investigation, even if it's from an anonymous person, we do education and compliance with the respondents. And what we do is we explain to them where they're wrong. We explain what they need to do. We explain how it has to be corrected. We explain that non-compliance, there's a cost associated with it, and that there will be an administrative action. If it's an egregious violation or something, then they're writing a report. It's going to legal, and then we wait for legal to go through the process of what they need to do to then get it down to you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further for Director Brown or?
are we doing job site inspections now?
We have been.
Awesome.
Again, understanding that we have to work with the CDC and the governor's COVID protocols that are slowly being lifted.
That's good. Good that we're moving forward.
Yes, it is. It is good to I don't know, see the new normal, or at least maybe see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep, very good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so nothing further.
No.
Have a good
thank
weekend,
you.
everyone.
Take
You
care.
too. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
You as
You're
well.
welcome, and all of you have a good 4th, and stay healthy and safe yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on. Old business. The backflow prevention. There was some correspondence in this recent mailing. I wish Richard was here. Is he? I don't know if he's here. Is he here?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
got in.
Okay, yeah. All right. Appears it's been sent over to Leslie O'Brien, but I guess reading this is my opinion, reading this backflow prevention device 2020 that was sent out or authored by you, Richard, I guess. I mean, now, was this your opinion that, because the topic of discussion is the fact that the backflow preventer on a fire sprinkler system has to be installed by the plumber. And I think in your words, it was because it's potable water, according to the public health or whatever, it's got to be done by the plumber. So we asked to get this corrected to where the fire protection, the F1, F2 would be legally able to install this device. So I guess there's two questions there. Is this your interpretation and you proposed it to the, or is this, because it's been the years that all the years that backflows have been in existence and been put in a fire system. I don't know one that I've had a plumber assist me in. So I guess I'm admitting, maybe, I don't know if I, did something wrong or whatever, but I mean, it's been done and it should be done. I mean, it's.
All right, I'm looking in the agenda. I didn't see that on the agenda for discussion, so I have nothing in front of me here.
It's under old business, Richard, and I sent over with the agenda, with that email, the backflow prevention device, the correspondence and the documents that have been going back and forth since this discussion started. I think it was in the September 2020 meeting.
Yeah, and didn't Leslie say after the legislative session she would look at it or something? I'm not sure.
I haven't heard from her. I invited her and I haven't heard from her. So I would assume obviously she's busy. So I don't know.
It's unfortunate in these times, we have this, whatever you want to call it, a lag between, this in person, but we don't have the direct contact with these individuals. And like I say, Richard and Karen, you're our liaison to Commissioner and Leslie and whoever. But like I say, this every 3 months meeting, this is going to go on for could be a year. I mean, now we're out of the legislative session for this year, and nothing's going to get done till next January.
Well, I don't know.
So I mean, it's a concern. It's
It shouldn't be too difficult here. I mean, we all realize that the sprinkler contractor should be added into this regulation. It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
It's just like a typographical error that needs to be corrected. I mean, we don't need to debate this. We need to just get it done.
Well, we
I don't
should
know if
try
it's
to.
a typographical error or an interpretation, Bob.
No, I understand that. But it shouldn't be. I mean, there shouldn't be anybody that could object to this at all. I mean, things like this are very frustrating. This is something that somehow or another got overlooked years ago and never has really been ever pushed. I mean, now that we kind of bring it, to the forefront, now who knows what's going to happen? Plumbers are going to decide that, hey, that's what this law says, and now they're going to start forcing their way. Or does our debate, kind of bypass that? Or does a sprinkler contractor that's putting a backflow preventer, an inspector goes out there and asks for his license and sees that he's not a plumber, all of a sudden gets brought up on charges for doing something illegal? It should be an easy thing to fix. And there shouldn't be anybody, we're just adding fire protection to this. We're not taking anybody off the list, I don't think.
No, we're not.
So O'Brien should just take care of this. She gets a pretty simple understanding of what needs to be done.
Yeah, and I thought she was going to add it in the department's technical changes for this session, but it wasn't in there. I don't know why. She got numerous copies of this. I mean, even irrigation people have to have a plumber install it first, And sometimes they get there first and the water supply is right there, but the backflow's not on.
Well, I don't know how we, Richard, I don't know whether you got to get a hold of her, or I don't know how you do that, or Dave, or send her an email, or I don't know. But this is something that shouldn't be difficult to do, and it shouldn't take months and months to do it. It's ridiculous.
I think it goes back to the days back in the late 80s when they grandfathered, because at that time there were just plumbers and the plumbers did it all. And it's probably something that fell through the cracks that didn't get changed when they went to the separate contract license.
You're probably absolutely right, Tony. I'm
Yeah.
not,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I
that's
can,
where it was.
Like you
That's where
said,
it was,
something that
Tony.
fell between the cracks and needs to be corrected.
so now we know where the crack is and it just needs to be corrected. I mean, it's
Right.
the insertion of fire protection, you know, alongside plumber. That's all it is. I mean, it's like I say, we
Right.
don't need to debate this. It just needs to be done.
Right, it's
Like,
basically.
it's like something was misspelled wrong. I mean, that's as simple as this.
Well, it's an error of omission on, you know, whether
Yeah.
whoever's part, and it's just, but like I say, it's, we're going on months and months and months that it's still falling through the cracks, Bob, and that's the frustrating thing, and everybody wants to blame it, you know, COVID,
Dave,
whatever.
did we ever send a letter? Maybe a letter explaining the issue and the problems and where we believe it transcends to or from?
I
To
don't
the
mean,
commission to get it
I don't
corrected?
I don't mean to pass the buck, but I mean, I kind of, when we leave the meetings, I feel that this information is passed on by the two representatives from the state that are here, Richard and Karen. And, you know, I mean, you know, especially Richard, because he has the direct dealings with Leslie or whoever. I mean, her name keeps popping up, but she's a legislative liaison. And, you know, we're told it's going to get taken care of. Well, like I say, the session adjourned, you know, last evening, you know, or, you know, yesterday, and it's done for this year. But it's you know, it's unfortunate that things are, you know, these things get swept. I mean, we, you know, it took a time, but we, you know, we addressed the issue of the residential limited, you know, fire protection systems. Took time. We addressed it. And I mean, I don't know, it seems to be a boon for the state because there's a lot of applications every month, you know, at least 2 or 3 or 4 every month. An F5, F6 license, but I don't know how many systems are going in, if they are, but you know, we try to address the issues as best we can. And we rely on the people that, you know, are on the payroll of the state, working in the Consumer Protection Department to represent the industry, you know, the fire protection industry, who, you know, our board covers, and just correct this. Like I say, it's like Bob said, it's a, you know, you know, whether it's a typo or an omission or whatever, but let's get it corrected. But I don't see it happening anytime soon, unfortunately. Any further?
Well,
need- we need-
push comes to shove, I would say we'll get some legislators involved. I
We
mean, I
need
know a
some-
few.
We just need some assurance that Leslie is gonna address this in the next session. Simple as that.
Well, Karen, all we can do is maybe send her the invitation to the board meeting again with the documents, you know?
Right, I was gonna say, I've done that every meeting since September of 2020, December, March, and this meeting. So before, after the meeting, when you guys request that she comes to the next meeting, I send her the email with all the documents, and then shortly before, I send her another email, and she does get the agendas. So
Yeah.
there absolutely is not anything more that I can do except keep inviting her to the meeting. I can't.
Right, and I understand the frustration on your part, Karen, because like I say, you've done your due diligence to invite them, even like today. I mean, you invited Joe Cassidy. He can't attend to address, you know,
Right.
Bob's issue, but I mean, like I say, it's you know, I can't drive up there and say, okay, get online. We're going to have a Zoom meeting. We need your input or whatever. So it's
Dave, how about calling?
Right.
Calling
I
on the
can't either.
yeah.
Call either the commissioner or Leslie on the phone.
Yeah. I'll make
I mean,
an
a lot of
attempt to
people
contact.
are not in the building yet, though, either. That's the other thing. So I don't know how well the phones are going to. I'm just saying, generally speaking.
Email her then.
So
Email.
anyway, Karen, if you could email Leslie again and CC Julian Avalone, who's actually over her and maybe CC Commissioner too and myself.
And please include me in that email, because like I say, then, you know, I'm in the link and I'll see the response. So,
To invite her to the next meeting, is that what you're saying? When I,
Yes, yeah, with the associated documents.
3 months away.
right,
All right.
And as far as the Blaze Master issue is concerned, since Joe Cassidy's retiring, I guess it would be Darren Hobbs would be invited. He's like the deputy state building official.
Well, the Blaze Master should have probably been on old business, but I mean, probably, you know, but it's, you know, it is a concern. You know, Bob wanted to raise it, and you brought it up, Rich. I mean, just so the board knows, the thing, you know, everybody received the, trying to find mine, I don't know. Anyways, the response from Joe Cassidy was that it's a acceptable form. I know of acceptable material for installation, in his words, were for potable water. Yes, I understand that, but not for this type of system, which I don't know if he wholeheartedly understands that. But a ruling was made, and it's already applied to probably close to a half a dozen, 4 to 6 applicants for the F5 who were providing Blaze Master certifications.
So Bob, what makes it not acceptable in your mind?
I'm not saying that it's not acceptable. I'm saying it's not common practice.
Right, but there are fit-ins from PEX to Blaze Master that can be used for these little branches go off the sprinkler heads, correct?
But I'm not arguing that they could be used, but common practice is that we would use a PEX material. That's common practice. The only reason why somebody has shifted over to this Blaze Master is because it seems like PEX won't do instruction. That's why we've gone to an alternative. This is like an alternative. I mean, you could use stainless steel if you wanted to too.
Correct.
The only reason why we've gone to this Blaze Master is because they've been able to get somebody to come do training for them to fulfill the requirement of product training in this license requirement. That's why this is happening.
Yeah, the applicants have been either Uponor or Blaze Master.
Right. But my understanding is that Blaze Master was not Blaze Master, Uponor was having a hard time doing the instruction that was required because of COVID. Yet Blaze Master kind of fulfilled that requirement. Am I wrong in understanding that?
No, I mean, you could be right. I mean, I don't know what the trades are using out there. You know, Kevin, are you familiar with people using PEX and then joining it with Blaze Master to put the heads or anything?
No, not at all. I've never seen it.
It's not that Blaze Master is not a approved pipe material for these systems. It's just that they're not used. It's right, Kevin. I mean, these are PEX systems.
Yeah, they're unique. They're not a common two different material types.
So to use the Blaze Master in your training isn't applicable in my mind. Maybe I'm not explaining it right, but that's the way I understand this.
Well,
It's not applicable because it's not common practice to mix the two.
I mean, we should be training these people with what you're really going to use, and you're not going to use Blaze Master.
These are multi-purpose systems. The Uponor is probably, it's like people, you talk about, go grab a Kleenex, a nose tissue, whatever, but generic, you use that term. Well, the state building inspector has ruled that Blaze Master is a approved method for potable water systems, systems for a fire protection, but not for these types of systems, because I use the same example when we had the license review. I says, black steel, I mean, you could say, or whatever. I mean, it's like, you wouldn't use black steel on a potable water system, but in this essence, you tie the fire protection system into potable water, and normal fire sprinkler system, and you use black steel. So you could say, well, in theory, that's an approved method, but not for this type of system, not for a multi-purpose system. But I agree with Bob saying is because of COVID or whatever, maybe the Blaze Master is an easier certificate to obtain than the Uponor, and maybe that's the route these people are going. But I'm not saying Mr. Cassidy was wrong in his ruling. It's just that he's not applying it properly.
Right.
That's my opinion.
I think that's exactly right. And I think it is also the Blaze Master training is readily available here in Connecticut, whereas Uponor isn't.
I agree.
So when Uponor said that they couldn't, there's a requirement here for some product training, and when Uponor couldn't do that, then we went to Blaze Master for just to fulfill that requirement, because it was easy for them to get one of the local reps that would do the training.
Well, the Blaze Master, you can just go right online and do it from your living room. I think that's why they're doing it also. You don't even have to be sitting down with the guy.
I didn't know that, so.
Yeah.
Well, here again, I'm not disagreeing that the Blaze Master isn't a method of approved piping, but I definitely don't agree that it's applicable in these cases. And I think that the training should line up with the products that's being used in these systems to make the training realistic and appropriate.
Kevin,
So-
do you use Blaze Master in anything you do?
We
No?
use Blaze, yeah, but we wouldn't use it in one of these multi-purpose systems.
Yeah,
Because of the cost of the fittings needed to switch it over each time, you mean?
Blaze Master is designed to be used for a 13D standalone system, not a multi-purpose system. And you can use it for potable water separately too.
Right.
What Cassidy is saying is true, but not applicable. I mean, his exact wording was the material complies, blah, blah, blah. So it would be compliant with this F5, F6 requirement. That was his
Right.
ruling.
I understand that. Should someone choose to use it to do a multi-purpose system?
I mean, you could use copper too if you wanted to, and that would be approved also.
Correct.
But you wouldn't do it. You just wouldn't use that material.
No, because of the first of all, the cost for the material, and second of all, the labor. It's that the Uponor is basically the system that's going to be used. Somebody came in with a certificate from the Copper Institute, says, oh, I took it, I'm certified in copper. Well, yeah, that would have, in theory, in applying to Joe Cassidy's theory, yeah, that would apply. So if somebody came in with a certificate from the Copper Institute, yeah, they'd get the license. So it has to
Or stainless steel. So,
anything, but like I say, it's frustrating because, like I say, these every month we do these application reviews, and in the last month, I'll give you the report coming up under new business, but it's, the last month there was 3 applications for the F5, and 2 of them had Blaze Master, 1 had Uponor. So it's getting to be, I don't know if the word is getting out on the street that, go for the Blaze Master because, you'll get it, it's easier to obtain. I don't know what the, I mean, it's just, you wonder. So like Bob said, or even Wayne just said, you can go online from your living room and get the certification and not even attend the seminar. I mean, there's no, I remember years ago when we did the Blaze Master for the standalone, you had to the representative came out, he certified you, and you glued a couple joints, so you at least had a little bit of hands-on. He would tell you whether you do, prepping the joint properly. So, you're sitting in your living room, you're not getting any of that. So
Well, but obviously COVID changes all that, so you couldn't, people wouldn't go out and do instruction, so that I can see where that had to change. But Uponor, we would hope that Uponor could do the same thing. You're hoping that goes back to, things do change. There are some things that in-person training should be required. I understand it's a world of computers and Zoom and everything else, but we should be able to do things like this in person.
well, there's certain things, fire protection, there isn't one sprinkler system that can get put in from working from home. So it's, there's still things that people have to go to work every day. It's unfortunate, and like I say, then maybe the application should be tabled until things resume to normal. But I mean, it's, what is normal? We're out of this, normal range. Kids don't go to school anymore. They, it's like, it's unfortunate what COVID has done to this country.
And we all agree that something's going to suffer for it. Well, I don't know what the answer to this is, but I just don't agree that Blaze Master is what we should be certifying here.
Well, it would have been nice if Joe Cassidy had sat in on this meeting and heard our concerns, and then maybe reevaluated his position and said, gee, I overstepped, I overreached, or whatever. Yeah, I made the statement that it's an approved product for potable water fire sprinkler systems, but I understand what you're saying now. It's not applicable to the multi-purpose. So I guess.
Well, then if Hobbs is going to be taking his place, then for the next meeting, we should line him up.
Yeah, well, I sent Karen his contact information, and Karen can invite him and send him a copy of Joe Cassidy's last decision. And then he could take a look at it. I don't know who's going to be the actual state building official, because that gets appointed by the governor.
Well, he's just a temporary, he's going to be temporary.
Well, I would assume since he's the deputy state building official that he probably would, unless someone's appointed immediately, he would be the person to go to. That's all you have left.
All right.
Okay, well, we got to start to someplace, and that's a good place to start.
And he's a pretty intelligent guy, and
He's a good guy.
Works on a lot of issues and everything. So
he was the city inspector in Hartford, building inspector in Hartford, chief building inspector in Hartford, also.
All right. All right. Not going to resolve anything about stuff, so we'll move on. Those are the two issues under old business. New business, the application review. As the designated board member, since we last met, there was three sessions. I'll read you each session. April, there was Kevin Lavoski. He was applying for an F2. He had the FSA 4-book completion. He had a notarized letter from Platinum Fire showing 6 years of employment in Massachusetts. He had a state sprinkler journeyman's license in Massachusetts. The recommendation was to approve. Nicholas Johnson, he applied for an F5. He held a P1 or holds a P1. He had an NFSA completion dated January 8th, 2021. He had a Blaze Master certificate. He also included, two of them. that was recommended to deny. It was tabled. Rich sent the application to Joe Cassidy for his opinion. Bruce White applied for an F1. He had a Rhode Island journeyman's license, no Connecticut F2. He was denied an F1. Needs to resubmit with a notarized letter from his employer showing dates and duties of employment to apply for an F2. Any questions on that month? May, we had Randall Harrington applied for an F6. He had an NFSA course completion. He didn't, he had a light, I couldn't make out if he had a P1 or P2, but there was a subsequent application for an F5. He did provide a Viega certificate. He holds a P1 and he was recommended to be approved. So there was like two different applications that month, but he must have resubmitted. Nicholas Johnson applied for an F5. He had the NFSA certificate, held a P1, Blaze Master certificate. I'm trying to read it. Also, the letter from Joe Cassidy stating what I said earlier, that the material complies or would be compliant. So based on Joe Cassidy's comments, it was recommended to approve that application. So it was based upon state building officials' approval, so to speak. That was it for May. Any questions on May? In June, we just held one last week. James Atwood Jr. applied for an F5, holds a P1. He had an NFSA completion certificate. He provided a Blaze Master certificate. And my notes show it was approved under the current requirements for the state building official. Also that month, Richard Garcia applied for an F5, holds a P1, had the NFSA completion certificate. He provided an Uponor certificate. It was recommended to be approved. Brian Rudy, he applied for an F5, holds a P1. He had an NFSA completion certificate, and he provided a Blaze Master certificate for the installation material. He was recommended to be approved. The last one for this month was Brian Zamiga. He applied for an F1. He holds no F2. He provided a NICET 3 certificate. He seems to be a professional engineer out of South Dakota. He holds an Oklahoma occupational license. He holds a New Mexico construction industry division license under rapid fire protection. It was recommended to deny for showing no on-the-job training, no related instruction, and he must hold an F2 first, and he needs to provide copies of the licensing laws for the states that he's provided to show what may be equivalent or not. So those were the applications that were reviewed in the last 3 months. Any questions? Hearing none. I see no other new business, correspondence. No. Comments and concerns of persons present today? Anything from anybody?
We had the issue a couple of years ago with a contractor in Connecticut that went to jail for various things, sprinkler contractor, like Yuzakevich. I understand that he's gotten out of jail and he's back in business. I'm just kind of wondering whether in his particular case, will he be reinstated as a contractor?
What was the name of the person?
Yukashevitz.
I don't know, I'll have to look him up. Let me see.
I'll give you, Rich,
How do you spell that name, last name?
I can spell it for you because I knew him. I had him in school as an apprentice. It's USZAK.
U.S.
ZAK IEWICZ.
Well, in case I lose you, I gotta go into a VPN here. Hang on.
Right. So Bob, you're asking, is he going to be reinstated?
Well, I just want to make sure that he's not got a license again. This is a guy that did bad things to his employees and bad things to the state of Connecticut, and he shouldn't be allowed to have a license in the state of Connecticut. I just kind of checking on that.
How do you spell it again? US.
USZAK IEWICZ.
What's the name?
Michael, first name.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking there probably aren't, a whole lot of them out there.
No, there's not.
Thank God.
I think it's just a father and son, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you're right. You're correct.
His son's on there and he is licensed and he does have a contractor's license.
Is it Michael L or Michael C that you're let's see.
Michael sees the kid.
So that's the one you're looking at, that you're wondering about.
They're looking at Michael L.
Okay, so it's Michael L that you're wondering about. Michael L has a F1. That's current, birth date 1966. That's the one?
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
Michael L has an active F1.
Wow,
I don't know the history about any of it. That's what I'm looking at.
amazing.
Well, Karen, back, Richard too, I don't know if he came back or whatever, but back years ago on the
Well,
application.
can we get the right, I like to get the right person first. I got kicked off, but then I came back on here. Do you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah. I mean, you can
All
let
right.
Richard
So which
check.
Michael are we talking about here?
They said Michael L is.
Michael L is the one you're looking for? All right, it must be. All right, hang on.
Karen found it, Richard, said he's an active F1.
No, I understand that, but I want to know why. If Bob said he
Oh,
went to
okay,
jail,
all right, sorry, okay. Yeah.
I want
He
to
went
find out if any action was ever taken against him. Maybe we didn't take any action against him.
I don't
From
think
what I
so.
understand, they did. He went to a hearing. Somebody made a complaint. He went to a hearing. And if it's a non-violent crime, you're allowed to still have your F1. You look at Ferguson Electric, they just had all that go on. They're still in business.
Right. So what the question I have is application. Oh, U.S. government. So this has to do, it never was brought before the licensing board or the department to take action against his license.
No,
Okay, so it's U.S. government. What is this all? Conspiracy to commit wire fraud. 2016, the offense concluded. So, we would, obviously, no one ever did anything. If there's not a relationship between the crime and the license the person holds.
okay, well, I was just wondering.
Yeah, so we have all the documents from the United States here. Everything's in the system, so.
well, Rich, back when they used to apply and you say, have you ever been convicted of a felony, even on a renewal? When he checks the box, who looks into it now? Is it just a feel good thing?
No, he checked yes. He checked yes on his renewal form, and then it was investigated. There's 27 pages attached to his renewal form when he went to renew.
Huh.
Of all the federal documents and everything. He's a lawyer, explanation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Were any of these counts against the state of Connecticut?
I'd have to read it all. I don't know.
Okay, well, just curious, that's all.
Even letters to the different judges. So
Oh, I thought there was, well, when you pay people, whether it's a 1099 or whatever, you know, and you're circumventing labor laws as far as insurances and unemployment compensation, isn't that against the state of Connecticut?
if that was one of the allegations, I don't know. I'd have to read through all that.
Well, I'm not privy to the document. I mean, I know, you know, I know, I believe, maybe Wayne could correct me, there was 67 individuals in the union brought up on charges because they violated, you know, they were working, as they used to say, lump and work, you know, just getting a lump sum for the, you know, their pay, not, you know, they weren't getting, you know, according to the collective bargaining, that means there was no taxes paid, unemployment insurance, workman's comp. I mean, this was all brought out. I mean, I mentioned that to the labor department way back when, you know, I mean, or I even mentioned it to the investigators. I says, if this guy had this many charges against him, I'm sure there might have been one or two out of that 67 that weren't licensed in the state of Connecticut. But,
Well,
you know,
that would be an allegation someone have to prove and bring forward or file with the department. So
Sounds like,
I have here April 2nd of 2020, that it went to the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities. And they used that law to determine whether or not the renewal F1 renewal application should be granted or not. And it was approved. It went to our legal division because there has to be a relationship between the crime that was committed and the type of license the person is applying for. So does that, so what he did for a crime doesn't make him any less competent to be a sprinkler fitter.
Right. You can't tell whether he's a sprinkler contractor or a politician.
Oh, yeah. Good one, Tony. Well,
So they did look into him before the license was reinstated here.
you know, Rich, I sat in on those meetings back when the CHRO came in and they were gonna bring it to the board, they were adding it, and this goes back probably, I don't know, lose track of time, 15, 20 years ago. And I remember it might've been Fleming that was there. We sat there and an example was given that if you had somebody that was convicted of fraud and they were applying for a real estate license, you know, somebody, you know, or embezzlement or whatever, because of money that's transferred in a real estate transaction, you wouldn't want them to have their license renewed.
Right, that's because the real estate licensing law addresses that specifically.
No,
So that's different than chapter 393 for sprinkler fitters and the tradespeople.
I'm giving you the
That
example.
law, when that law was worded, it addressed anything to do with financing.
But it was also stated by the legal department and the commissioner that was there that said, if you had an individual, and they used this as an example, I remember it like it was yesterday. You had somebody that was convicted of arson, you wouldn't be giving them a fire protection license. So, I mean, there's a broad range. I mean, why would you say, you know, I mean, yeah, it stands to reason, but if the guy's convicted of arson, does that make him any less of a qualified sprinkler contractor? But that was the legal interpretation back then. But this guy, I don't have all the particulars. You got the 28 pages or whatever in front of you. What, you know, I've heard some of the things that he's done, read some of the articles in the paper. I mean, it was in the millions that he defrauded the state or whatever out of it. And the fine that he paid was in the millions. And he went to jail for, I don't know, 16, 18 months. So it wasn't just a penny ante crime. And I understand Bob's concern, you know, why is this guy back on the streets holding an F1 when he's got a track record? So I think that, I don't mean to speak for Bob, but I understand that
apparently we missed our opportunity. I mean, if we were really against, I got nothing against this guy, but you know what, he didn't, you know, it used to be that if you served your time, I guess, wasn't it? If once you served your time, then, and that was enough. You know, you made amends and you could go back into society doing what you were doing before. So apparently that's how these people view this whole thing. So whatever.
Yeah.
Hopefully he learned his lesson.
Well,
It-
it's almost
They made a lot
no
of money with
different
that.
than I go over certified payrolls every day, and the same contractors are cheating their workers out of the prevailing wage rate, but they keep getting awarded these jobs and nobody will do anything about it. The good contractors that do it right are the ones getting punished because they're losing the bids on these jobs. There's never anything that follows up from what I see.
Wayne, it's the same thing with ratio relief when they applied to the labor board, labor department for ratio relief on apprentices. The ones that are getting it are probably the violators. It's the good contract, you say the ones that obey the law, that do everything by the book, those are the ones that are paying the price.
Right,
Yeah.
ratio relief, I think they apply for it after they get caught by working all these guys without being registered apprentices. That's how they end up doing it.
Well, I use ratio relief a lot and I've never been disapproved. So, and I have no violation. So you don't.
Right,
we
you
should-
probably did it the right way. Yeah, you needed it. And that's what it's there for.
Well, maybe if the licensing board, we should have maybe, when this happened, maybe we should have maybe spoke up about it, and obviously it's too late, so, well, whatever.
Yep.
When he does it again, then maybe we have the second opportunity. Thank you for looking that up, Rich.
You're welcome.
All right, well, that's the end of my agenda that I have. Next meeting is September 9th. I thank everyone for attending. Anybody has anything else? No? Well, I wish everyone
Have a good
stay
summer.
healthy.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Have a good summer. Bye-bye.
Yes, stay
Take
well,
care.
everyone.
Signify by saying aye.
Have a good summer.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Everybody